second, third grade friends. So I hope you enjoyed the book Monet and the Water Lily, friends. And I also hope you got a chance to check out Claude Monet's virtual tour of his beautiful gardens. I'm hoping that our gardens will start to look nice and beautiful and green like his do. So today I'm going to share with you a way that you can create a similar technique to Claude Monet at home with some simple tools. So I have today in front of me a piece of paper and some markers, and I'm going to be creating a beautiful lily pad pond similar to that of Claude Monet's with some markers. So the first thing I want you to really consider is how Claude Monet uses his brush strokes. So he's very mindful with the directionality of his brush strokes and really looking and observing how that light is reflecting off of the pond. So I'm going to use a variety of colors here, and I might even pull out some purple. So I have a lot of blues and purple, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start by taking a color, and I'm just going to start by making some marks across my paper. My main focus right now is that these marks are going all in one direction for right now. And I'm doing nice, short, quick marks all the way across. So I'm going to put the cap back on this marker and do the same technique with a different color, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do that with a couple of these colors and maybe even put some purple in there. Bit of my piece of paper here, and I was really enjoying this process. I was very mindful. I was taking nice deep breath as I was making those similar movements over and over again across my piece of paper, and I was just really enjoying the sound the marker was making on the paper as I was making those short quick marks, really being mindful of the directionality my hand was going in and enjoying that process. So I've tried to cover quite a bit of my piece of paper here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get this piece of paper wet. So I've been using those washable markers, so that means that when water connects with them, those water and that color, they're going to interact and they're going to do some pretty cool things. So I just have a spray bottle here, and you can use a spray bottle with water in it, or even just take like a damp washcloth and gently pat it over your piece of paper to get this effect. And I'm going to go ahead and just spray it across my piece of paper. So you're going to start to see a lot of things happening right away, but you're also going to notice too, as you leave it and let your artwork start to dry, those colors are even going to blend and spread out more and more and more, okay? So this is kind of the fun part of this project because we can't really control it. It just kind of does what it wants. And artists kind of have to embrace these moments and really enjoy just the process and the color and how that's interacting. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to show you another option as well if you have paints at home. So another way you could create a Monet inspired lily pond is by painting. So I just took some basic tempera paint. I took a blue, a dark blue, a little bit of green, a purple, and I'm going to use quite a bit of white. And if you want, you can use a paintbrush. So if you choose to use a paintbrush, you're just going to go through, similar to the mark making we did with our marker. Very simple, quick brush strokes. If you can imagine the ripples in a small pond, they're nice, quick, short marks. And I'm not even going to wash off my brush when I dip it into another color, because I'm definitely okay with those colors mixing and blending, just to really give the appearance that this is shimmering water with a lot of colors reflecting off the sky, colors reflecting off the beautiful plants surrounding Claude Monet's pond. So I'm always really maintaining that same directionality with my brush. Nice short brush strokes. So another way you can do this too, if you don't want to use a brush and you okay this with your parents, is, and we add a little bit more water, is you can actually do some finger painting. And this is a pretty fun process. I'm just going to add a little bit more white to my palette here. And then I'm going to use either a spoon or you can even use a fork to apply some paint to your paper. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to use the back side of this fork and just dab some color onto the paper like this. So then if you're choosing to do finger painting, make sure you're checking with the adult in your house, in your home, and make sure that's okay with them. I recommend putting something underneath where you're working to kind of keep a nice clean area. This is my art table, so I don't mind if I get paint on it. And again, I am using a washable tempera, so I'm not too worried. Alright, I'm going to add some white here. We are going to get messy, so I'm already getting some paint on my fingers. I know I never let you guys finger paint in art, but I would have done it this year if we would have still been in school. So I thought I would show you this fun technique anyways if you have the opportunity to do it at home then. Alright, so I got quite a bit of color on here, and I can always go back and add more if I want. So I'm going to go ahead and set that to the side. My hands are already getting a little dirty, but I'm going to go ahead and choose one hand. I'm going to focus on 2 fingers. Those fingers are going to really be the main brush that I'm going to be moving and directing my paint with. And I'm going to do this kind of movement. So I'm just gently dabbing my fingers onto the paper and going across. So it's almost like a U shape I'm making. And notice I'm just really getting that paint on 2 fingers. And you're gonna notice too, it's really making that blurred water image of all those colors reflecting on the surface of the water. Going all the way to the edge of my paper. Oh, I love it, I love the color. I think it needs a little bit more purple too. So here's where you can kind of play around with light too. Maybe you're gonna decide that one part of your painting is gonna be darker than the other. Maybe you're gonna have this part of your painting be really light and this part be a little bit darker over here, or maybe the middle is going to be darker and you're going to have some kind of image object in the center that's kind of blocking that light. So again, I'm really focusing on back and forth. I'm not blending those colors too much. If I were to take my hand and go like this, it's going to make all those colors mix together and you're going to get a real gray painting. So less is more. Just try to go all the way off the page. I think I'm just going to take a little bit more white in a couple areas where it doesn't have as much. And I am loving these colors, you guys. So I hope if you get to try this, I hope you do because it is fun. Alright, so I'm really happy with what I have here. So I'm going to go ahead and let this dry, and then we're going to add some other details that you see in a lot of Claude Monet's paintings. I just thought I'd quickly show you too what's happening with the markers. I'm really happy with the beautiful colors I'm getting, but I want a little bit less white. So I'm going to go in with some more markers and then spray it again to try to get rid of some more of that white. Alright, so if you are doing that, you can always go back and rework it with the markers, and you're more than welcome to try both of these different techniques because they are really fun. Alright, so now that our pieces are all dried, remember this one is the one I did with marker, this one is the one I did with paint. So let's add some details to it to make it even more like Claude Monet's beautiful lily ponds that we saw in the start. I just have a white piece of paper, so I want to add a bridge to my lily pond. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out a big bent line and another one to make the top and the bottom of my bridge. And then I could either cut this in half or cut another one out. Alright, so this will be the top and bottom of my bridge for my water lilies. And then I'm going to add some vertical bars in there. So so no one goes falling through. Then the next thing you can do is if you have some crayons or oil pastels, you could even add some marks to these pieces to really give that Claude Monet Impressionism look. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of color to these to make it look more like what we would see in one of Claude Monet's paintings. With some oil pastels, you could use crayons or chalk, whatever you have at home. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my super tight school glue, put some glue on the back of these, and we'll get them glued down. Once you're all done making your bridge, you can actually add some more foliage with oil pastels, crayons, or paper. So I just added a little bit on my bridge to make it a little bit more green and fuller. So I'm just going to color in this area and then add some marks coming down. Looks like nice long green vines coming off of our bridge. So hopefully you got to take a tour of Claude Monet's gardens, and that gave you some ideas of some different foliage you could add. Now that you have your bridge and your water, the next thing we are going to add too is some lily pads, obviously, because we can't have a lily pad pond without lily pads. That would be silly. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more foliage to this, and then we'll show you how to add the lily pads. Pads, I have some green construction paper. If you don't have construction paper at home, you can easily just color some paper green, and then we'll cut out some lily pad shapes. So I like to make my job easier by being able to cut out multiples at a time. So I'm going to cut some strips and then cut those strips into some squares, and then I'm going to cut those squares into some circle shapes by just cutting those corners off. Remember, I don't want to cut right in the middle because that would be such a waste of paper. And then I'm just going to cut a V into one side. Voila! And now I have my lily pad, and I can go ahead, if I want, I could add a little bit more color to my lily pad so it looks more like the Impressionism style. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue these onto my pond. To my water. The last thing you might want to do is add some flowers on top of those lily pads. So I have a couple pieces of some tissue paper here that I've cut into squares. You could use that, or you could just simply use some paper that you've colored, or you could use some construction paper to add some flowers to your design here. So I'm just going to grab a couple pieces of tissue paper, and then I'm going to take the tissue paper and wrap it around the eraser part of a pencil here. I'm going to take a little glue, and glue it on. Just press it down, and there I have a little flower. So you can go ahead and add some flowers to your lilies now that you have those glued on. Pad pond. The last thing I would love for you to try this week, if you have some extra time, is one of the things Claude Monet loved doing is he loved being outside when he created. So I would love for you to go outside sometime this week with a piece of paper and a pencil and find something in nature to draw. If you do this project and draw outside, make sure you can take a picture, you can email it to me, because I would love to see what you create. Have fun making this.